this video, I'm going to be showing you how to set up a campaign from scratch, even if you're a complete beginner. Because after booking over 2,000 sales calls in the last year, I've realized people make the process way harder than it needs to be. They try to use some fancy AI personalization, implement the wrong way, and completely ruin the results. But the reality is you can book calls from cold email just by nailing the basics, which is why I'm going to take you through everything step by step so you can start sending emails in the easiest way possible. Now, this isn't going to be some masterclass for advanced cold emailers, but if you're somebody who actually wants to learn how to set up an email campaign that puts calls on the calendar, this is the video that you're looking for. Now, the first thing that you need is an offer. And this is honestly something that every single person gets wrong. They think that they can just pitch their main service, throw it all out there and actually get replies. But just think about it. Not a single person is going to read a cold email from a complete stranger and just sign away a $5,000 retainer, which is exactly why you need to come up with a front-end offer. Basically, a front-end offer is this low risk entry point so that a cold prospect can kind of get an idea of what you do and the quality of work and everything before they actually commit to working with you. And when you offer something like that for free or cheap and just generally make it easy to say yes to you, you stand out from everybody else in the inbox. But the tricky part is actually coming up with one. So let me walk you through exactly what to do. So first thing you're going to want to do is open up ChatGPT. Now, I've got a custom GPT here for cold email offers, but you really don't need this. You can just jump right in, and you're going to want to feed it maybe 3 or 4 core things. Obviously, you're going to want to feed it your main offer. You're going to want to explain who your ideal customer is. You're going to want to explain the major pain points you solve, and you're going to want to explain the types of results you get. This will just give it a little bit of an idea of the things that we can put together that, will naturally lead into your core offer, because we don't just want this to be some random thing. So first of all, just for the sake of this video, let's do this. What is a front-end offer? All right, so now that we have the description of what a front-end offer is, it obviously knows what we're looking for. I'm going to explain a little bit about the client that we're going to come up with a front-end offer for. So I have a client who offers funding/lending and can help you get up to $2 million in funding same day. Their ideal customer is anyone who needs capital for capital intensive purposes. Some examples are cool. So I just listed a random industry of a client that we work with. They're general offer, nothing too definitive. And then generally the types of people that they work with, even though their ICP is pretty large. So first, positioning principle for funding. The real pain point is not I want money. It's I don't know how much I actually qualify for. I don't know how fast I can get it. I don't know what type of capital won't screw me later. I don't want my credit wrecked or waste weeks. So front end offer should be a same day capital eligibility snapshot. So basically show you exactly how much you can access today without impacting your credit. Funding readiness assessment, find out if your business qualifies for that or what's blocking it. And then operational pain angle. So something about mapping the smartest way to fund your next equipment or expansion. I kind of like some of these ideas, but I also might try something else. So if we outlined the potential growth they could see by bringing on funding versus just growing organically. All right, so this is fantastic. Basically what it's outlining is exactly what the prospect is going to get from this engagement. And that's the most important thing when it comes to an offer, is you don't just want to talk about the service itself, oh, we help people do X, Y, and Z. It's more so this is exactly what you're going to get from this engagement. So in this front-end offer example, which they've called the Capital Acceleration Impact Review, we'll show you the difference between growing organically and growing with capital using your real numbers, right? So some people have no idea what they could do if they had funding, because they've never really gone that route. They've never really gone that atypical growth route. They've always just grown via their clients and their organic. But let's see. So this explains why it works well for industrial and manufacturing. And then this is the most important part. So how this transitions naturally to the main offer. At the end of the call, the close is clean and non-salesy. So if accelerating this timeline makes sense, then we can help you secure the capital to execute it. If not, you know exactly where you stand. And then this might be a little bit of an atypical type offer. You know, you can understand why this works though. Someone is reaching out just with that core offer to help you realize your potential, and there's no ask at that point, right? Like it's not like you're saying, hey, you know, we can offer you Amazon growth services and we'll get your products to the top of the listing page. It's nothing like that where like there's a clear financial ask in return, like it's an exchange. With this, you're just leading value first, and you're not really asking for anything in that first call. You're just showing your expertise, showing them the potential, and really just like helping them build that trust gap in the first little bit. And then that naturally progresses into your main offer if there's a fit. If we want to see one more example kind of like of that, you know, Amazon offer that I was just talking about, front end offer for an Amazon growth agency. So with that Amazon growth offer, a really good example of front end offers could be something like, you know, growth ceiling snapshot will show you how much your Amazon store could be making without very much change. See if they come up with any other ones. Amazon growth versus organic, profit leak. So we'll pinpoint where your Amazon store is silently losing profit, scale readiness assessment. Some of these are great. And then other things you could look at are just like, you know, maybe a free updated image for their listings or something along those lines. Like on one hand, with the front end offer, you can do a service, but you can also do a delivery as well, right? So a free ad creative, a free listing creative, something along those lines, which would just be, you know, contingent on a call. When you're coming up with your offer, you're always going to want to test like 3 or 4. Do something service-based where it's, you know, maybe like an audit or some sort of like growth potential mapping. Do something very service delivery based so you can really just offer something tangible to them. And then maybe test something that's almost like a lead magnet, because that really is an offer in and of itself too. If you have a really valuable asset that helps them solve a problem, that's what you're offering to them. And then you can then bridge that into the main offer as well. So now you know what to offer people, but who do you offer that to? And that's where we start building your lead list. Luckily, you don't have to look for all of these people manually like you may have used to in the past, because Apollo.io can do that all for you. The only thing you really need to know here is the customer that you potentially want to target. And the easiest way to do that obviously is to look at your existing customers. So basically you'll just focus on things like their job title, the industry that they're in, the company size, so on and so forth, and put that together to kind of create a persona. This way you'll be able to easily generate a lead list with people that'll be likely to convert because you know you've done it before in the past. So again, I would just open up a checklist, something like this when you're doing your lead list building. Think about your top 3 to 5 clients. Ask what industry they're in, their company size, employee count, job titles, location, so on and so forth. Once you have all of these mapped out, you can pretty much just go into Apollo and start inserting the various criteria. If you want some help with this, you can also jump into ChatGPT and just ask it to come up with the criteria for you, and that's generally what we do. So if we go back to the lending offer, for example, my client has a lending offer. We want to provide capital to equipment heavy industry companies. Can you help me create a list of relevant job titles, keywords, etc. for those in manufacturing that would be relevant for this offer? Cool. So it's basically just going to put together a bunch of industries, keywords, focus on job titles and keywords, all commas. Cool. So now I have my job titles and I have my keywords, and I'll walk you through Apollo real quick. So when it comes to Apollo, you basically have like 5 to 10 filters that you're going to want to focus on. So the first one is obviously job titles, which we just got ChatGPT to come up with, and we're going to include that. You can easily go and, you know, choose management level and things like that as well if you think that that is going to be relevant. And then you're going to want to jump into location. So we're going to be doing US in this case. You have both the contact level and the account level. So contact is where the person lives, and then the account level is where the company actually exists, like their headquarters. And then we're going to want to jump into keywords. Essentially, with the keywords and industry section, you can use industries. Industries are very broad. Oftentimes they won't give you the best results. I usually find the better results come from just stacking as many keywords as possible that are only relevant to the people that you're particularly looking for. And also, just a bit of a pro tip, if you include your keywords in here, you can also jump in and choose types of keywords and add company descriptions to increase the number of people that you're reaching out to. Awesome. And then I also want to just validate the company size. I'm not sure if they mentioned that here. What would be the best company size for a 2 mil lending offer? So we're looking at some bigger companies here. Manufacturing companies generally have a lot of employees too, because they're more like boots on the ground. And we'll probably focus on one of these first two. So you can see here, there are a ton of people on the list, still 41,000. We don't need that many people. So let's narrow down the job titles. Let's focus on the decision makers, not like as many as possible. And these are different things that you can play with to get to the number of prospects that you really want to reach out to. And I'll cover infrastructure and the capacity in a few here. Even jumping down to this, we have around 36,000. So you're just going to want to keep playing with this. Maybe we just focus on 50 to 100, or maybe we go up a little bit higher and do the 100 to 200. You can really just mess around with the predefined ranges until you get the number of prospects that you want to go after. I think 15,000 in this situation is probably fine, and we'll roll with that. Now, exporting from Apollo becomes extremely expensive, especially when you're trying to pull, anywhere from 15,000 and beyond leads. So instead of just signing up for the regular plan, which could cost, hundreds, if not thousands, what you're going to want to use is a tool like Ample Leads. So I'll show you Ample Leads real quick. Essentially what it is a Apollo scraper. So you're going to want to create an account, sign in, and all you have to do in this situation is go and grab your URL from Apollo, go back to Ample Leads, drop the URL, include the number of leads, include the file name, and so on. And then if you go to the credits, just to give you an idea of what this all costs. So if you wanted to do 15,000 in this case, you'd be looking at around $29, which is super cheap compared to everything else. And then obviously as you get to scale, you can start increasing that number. But basically you just insert that list, choose the number of leads, give it a name, and then you'll get your list scraped and sent to you shortly after. Now, if you want help setting up cold email systems just like this and you don't really know where to start, I'm opening up a few spots for outbound consulting. This means that you'll get a 14-day launch plan, all of our internal trainings and SOP videos, and one-on-one calls with me so you can get it all right the first time. Now note, this is not a done for you offer, so spots will be limited. That means I'm honestly capped by the time that I can spend on these one-on-one calls, so there'll only be a few of them. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can apply via the first link below, but just make sure to select the done with you option when you're filling out the form. But either way, now that you have your offer and your lead list ready, the next step is going to be writing out your cold email scripts. And this is where people usually make either like one of two mistakes. Either they write these long personalized essays that nobody really has the attention span to read, or they write these completely sales focused emails that just scream, I'm trying to sell you something. But neither of those actually work anymore. People are more aware than ever, and anything that looks like a sales pitch in disguise is going to get ignored. So the only way to get replies now is actually by doing the opposite. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So the first thing you're going to want to do is jump back to your offer. Once you have your offer outlined, you're going to want to copy and paste all of that information, whether you did it in ChatGPT or you have it on a document, and then bring it over to something like Claude. Now, you can literally just throw your offer into Claude and ask it for a short conversational way to pitch that in an email in 1 to 2 lines max. I'll show you exactly what my prompt looks like. I've kind of refined this to include all of our best performing email scripts in a couple frameworks. But once I insert this, you'll kind of see what they look like. And then you can pretty much just create a prompt that follows the same structures. So we're just going to ask it to create copy for this offer. And this is going to be the financing offer, which basically has that front end offer around, what they can leverage capital for. So you can see here, it's come up with a couple of subject lines: manufacturing growth question, first name capacity timeline, quick growth scenario question. And you can even test these against, the tried and true, like first name question, or FYI first name, or just something super simple. Like the subject line is 0.001% importance when it comes to the email itself. Just don't make it something completely obvious that's sales focused. You want to leave something to curiosity and just kind of leave it a little bit broad, like these ones here. Jumping into the frameworks, again, the best cold emails are literally just going to be the offer in of itself, right? Interested in seeing what organic growth is actually costing company name in a missed capacity and timeline and delays. We mapped this for a $12 million fabrication shop last month. Turned out staying organic was costing them $380K a year in contracts they couldn't bid on due to equipment restraints. The only thing with this one, so I like it, I would just be a little bit more clear about the offer itself. So, first name if we could map out exactly how much money you could be making in the next couple of years by injecting, 2 mil in capital or whatever it is, would that be worth the chat? Or basically just outlining the free offer that you're doing without any sort of like ask, right? Same with this next one. Interested in a side-by-side comparison showing company names next 12 to 24 months with and without capital acceleration. And we would want to position this as valuable, right? Like, do you want to do a free, growth consulting? I wouldn't use something like that, but maybe like interested in a free side-by-side comparison or free growth analysis or free growth projection, something along those lines, where it sounds like something that they would pay money for. It sounds like something that's super valuable that you're willing to do for free. And then again, the PS line for social proof, that always works really, really well. And then there's a few other angles that you could try, like maybe like more pain focus, like poke the bear style, which is basically just noticed you're in X, Y, and Z industry. This is like a relevance first line. Have you ever quantified what slow organic growth is actually costing you in missed bids, delayed expansion, or capacity you can unlock? We build side-by-side scenarios for operators like you, what your next 12 to 24 months look like organically versus with capital acceleration using your real numbers. We're sending over an example. This thing here works really well because it's low friction. You're just sending something over and you're painting the picture as to why that this is important. Not a pitch, just a 20-minute call that maps out both paths so you can see the timeline decision with actual data. Again, you're building curiosity. They want to know what this could potentially look like. You're not asking for anything. It's all very front-end offer focused and not focused on the actual like service delivery. These things are going to perform pretty well, I'd imagine, if you just make a few of those tweaks to the first two that I mentioned, just on like specificity and just making sure they're a little bit more clear. And then also you can kind of notice the conversational nature that I've implemented in some of these where, you don't even use hey, hi, hello, greetings or anything. You just get straight to the point, straight to the offer, direct, add a little bit of social proof and you're done. And the nice thing with these short one-liner emails is obviously there's a lot more to say than just one line. And that allows you to really leverage that information in email 2 or email 3. So you can pretty much just make email 2 something along the lines of, by the way, first name, I forgot to mention that the growth potential analysis or whatever it is that you want to call that front end offer also includes X, Y, and Z, or doesn't require X, Y, and Z, like maybe a pain point or an objection that they have. You can use it to pre-handle things that they might be concerned about, add layers of benefits, and just generally sweeten it up if they didn't answer you the first time. Or you can shift it so that in the first email, you're offering a call, essentially, that front end offer. And then in the second email, maybe you try a separate mechanism, something a little bit easier to say yes to, like a document covering how you'd go about this. So it's a little bit less friction and a little bit easier to say yes to. Now that the email copy's done, that brings us to one of the most important parts of the process, and that's the infrastructure. You see, you can't just fire out 10,000 cold emails from one domain and just call it a day. That'll either throw you into the spam folder or ruin your main domain's reputation. So you need to spread out your sending over multiple domains and sending accounts. The good news is this doesn't have to cost you thousands of dollars. You just need enough email sending accounts and domains so that you can reach out to your entire total addressable market, all the people that are relevant to your offer, in about 90 days consistently. So let me show you the cheapest and easiest way to set this up. When it comes to infrastructure, I just mapped out a few things. So you're going to want to do 50-50 Google and Outlook. This is to mitigate risk. If anything comes up on Google side or if anything comes up on Outlook side, you're covered on the opposite. And these are going to go back and forth between which one works the best in various different situations. It is never constant, so just do both. With Google, you can set up one domain with 2 accounts. That allows you to do 10 cents per account or 20 cents per day. With Outlook, it's a little bit more lenient, so you can do one domain per 99 accounts. Each account does 5 cents per day, so that's 495 per day. I'd recommend anybody like just getting started, regardless of how big their TAM is, start with at least 10 to 20,000 cents per month. And to do that, you can set it up pretty easily with 20 domains on Google, which is 50 sending accounts, roughly, or 20, maybe 25 domains, 50 sending accounts, 500 cents per day, which will give you 10K cents per month. We'll switch that to 25. And then on the Outlook side, you can literally just buy one domain, set up 99 accounts that does 495 cents per day and 10,000 cents per month. So that'd be 10,000 cents per month on Outlook, 10,000 cents per month on Google. Now, this used to be crazy difficult. You used to have to set up like SPF, DMARC, DKIM records and make sure everything looks good on the back end, do it all manually on your own and buy that through like Google or Outlook. But now it's super simple. You can go to a tool like InboxKit and just purchase your accounts here. They do both Outlook and Google, or you can use Zapmail. Zapmail also does the same. They have both Outlook and Google available for pretty affordable prices. You can see here, like if you wanted to set up 30 Google mailboxes, that's only $100 a month. And the same thing here with Inbox Kit. If you wanted to set up that enterprise Azure infrastructure, $30 a domain per month. Now again, the nice thing with these infrastructure resellers is you don't need to do any of the work. All you have to do is go in, submit an order form, check out, and then they'll automatically pre-configure every single thing that needs to be done and add them to your email sending platform. And that brings us to the last step. Now that you have your infrastructure set up, you obviously need a sequencer or an email sending tool to send the emails from. And there are honestly a dozen different tools out there. But the truth is you don't need to choose the most expensive or feature platform to use. You just need one that's simple, affordable, and easy to use. So here are the best options for beginners, in my opinion. I'll go through 2 to 3 and I'll also tell you which one is my favorite. So the first one is SmartLead. I actually started my outbound journey on SmartLead and we later switched over to a private sending tool. SmartLead's great. You're going to spend around like $80 to $100 a month to be able to get this up and running. It's got everything you need. They've really tried to make this an all-in-one solution. So I definitely check this one out first. They obviously have a 14-day trial. You can get in there and just really see how that works. If you want super simple, like, you know, basically the Mac to the PC comparison, I would jump in and use Instantly. Instantly is great for beginners because it keeps everything super simple. Like there's no bells and whistles, but it gives you everything that you need to manage everything in one place. And again, pricing is going to be very comparable. You're looking at like roughly $77, $80 per month on the plan that you'd need here. And then lastly, kind of like the new kid on the block is Plus Vibe. So Plus Vibe, I have not used myself, but if I were to recommend any one of these 3, this is the one I would recommend you to use just because of their reputation for delivery. So they're going to be a very similar price point. They're going to have all of the same bells and whistles, but they actually have a really good warm-up pool. And I've heard that the delivery using this platform is a lot better than the other 2, likely because they have smaller user base and they are that new kid. There hasn't been as many people jumping on and kind of like tarnishing the shared reputation of the platforms. Once you get this set up, whichever one you choose, you're obviously going to have to import your email accounts into the sending sequencer and then start your 2-week warm-up period, which is super simple. Each one of these platforms can outline how to do that for you. Honestly, it's just a matter of flicking a button on, choosing a couple settings, and you're good to go. And then lastly, I'm going to show you this one, but I wouldn't really recommend you start here because it's a little bit more on the expensive side. This is the one that we use. It's called Email Bison. It's a private email sequencer for the top 1%. You have to apply to actually be able to use it. And the benefit of Email Bison, once you get to this point, is that it is a private infrastructure, so you don't share your reputation with any of the other users on the platform, which obviously leads to better reply rates, better results, more book calls, so on and so forth. And that is exactly how to set up cold email campaigns completely from scratch for beginners. But the reality is if you're only sending, 10, 20,000 emails per month, which is like anywhere between 500 to 1,000 emails per day, it's going to take a while to start seeing those results. Because in the end, cold email is obviously a numbers game. The more you send, the more replies you end up being likely to get. And honestly, just the faster you collect data. So if you want to see exactly how I sent 50,000 cold emails in just 1 week, watch this video here and I'll see you there.